is it possible that one day you wake up and your home equity line of credit, HELOC, they call lots of things, called a step, called a home line, called a flexi, whatever, lots of names for it. It's a line of credit on your house. Could you wake up one morning and it's gone, like the bank just took it away? My answer to that is, hell yes, that can happen. Absolutely, that can happen. So why? And it is happening. And it's something that repeats itself with economic cycles. And it sure as heck is happening again today. We're getting lots of calls on this, lots of emails from our customers. And just so everybody should understand, as a mortgage broker who's dealing with banks, what happens after the closing? The bank's in charge of. We're not in charge of it at all. That's now a relationship that's exclusively between the borrower and the bank. We arrange it. We can explain it. We can get it to fund and close, but we're not in charge of it. It's the bank. It's the bank and the borrower. That's it. So we get these. Hey, my God, I just checked my account and I have a $200,000 HELOC, home equity line of credit. I was using 30 grand. I had 170,000 limit. In other words, I could have access to another 170,000. I looked at my account this morning and I have access to zero, like bupkis, nothing, zero. I just have, my limit is my balance of 30 grand. And how did this happen? How in the world did this happen? I'm trying to get a hold of the bank and they're not telling me anything. Because they can. Right? Like, because they can. It's sort of like the same reason your cat licks its rear end. It can. So it does. And the bank can. All right? So here's the big deal. A mortgage is really, really different than these lines of credit, either personal lines of credit or a line of credit on your house. But a mortgage is something that's quite unique in the lending world. It's a contract. It's sometimes a bit like the automobile contract. It's a bilateral contract. In other words, there are things that the borrower promises to do, and there are things that the bank promises. And as long as the borrower keeps up their side of it, the bank is legally required to keep up their side of it. In other words, if you make your payments on your mortgage and you make sure your house insurance is good, and you make sure that your property taxes are paid up to date, your credit could go to like that of a unhoused person. You could have the worst credit, and you could have no job, and you as long as you make all these payments, you're good. The bank can't take your mortgage away from you at all. And oddly enough, in Canada, you're probably going to get offered a renewal, but maybe offered a renewal at a little higher rate. But that's not the same for HELOCs and personal lines of credit. These are demand loans. That's what if you look it up in the definition of what the contract is, it's a demand loan. So in other words, if the bank wants their money back, you got to give them their money back. So I just discussed the idea that you woke up one morning and the limit's gone. You had 200 grand, now your limit's 30. And that was your actual balance. So boom. Because it's a demand loan. The demand loan means that in 30 days, any 30-day period, the bank can ask for payment in full. They could even ask for the 30 grand back, and they could get it. Yeah, they are contractually able to get it. If they ask for the 30 grand back that you have on the line of credit, and you don't come up with it, they could conceivably put you into some sort of legal collection action. Absolutely, they can. That's within their rights. That hardly ever happens. The worst that ever happens usually is they set up an aggressive payment system. Like your minimum payment used to be just the interest. So whatever the interest was, you paid it. That was your minimum. So your loan didn't change. The bank could suddenly say, yeah, no, listen, we want this paid off in a year. So your payment of interest only was only $186. We want it paid off in a year. So now it's $8,086. You got to pay it off right away. Yeah, scary, but possible. A demand loan is just that. On demand, the bank can insist on whatever it wants to have happen. within the realm of the law, they can do it. And that's it. Now, why would they do this? Why, you may say to yourself, like, my God, why would my bank fuck with me like this? It doesn't make sense. All right, it's really just, it's not even driven by a human being, although a human being may have the final sign off. It's driven by algorithms. So when the economy starts to look bleak, this happened actually during COVID as well. It only happened for a short period of time because, at a certain point in COVID, everybody was getting checks for $2,000 a month and woohoo, things are good. And there's no need to think about it anymore. But when there's a serious economic contraction going on or on the horizon, banks just turn loose programs on their whole database, on everybody who has a HELOC, and says, I want you to look for weakness. Algorithm, go and look for weakness in the borrower. Go look for telltale signs, like have they increased their use of the HELOC? Have they taken more and more money out to buy stuff in the last couple of months? Oh, and also, have they suddenly gone from paying above the minimum payment to dropping down to just paying the minimum payment and just on the day that it is due? Or were they actually a couple of days late in payment, but, that caught up before we got mad at them? In other words, they look at the behavior of the borrower, what is going on, and then that algorithmic checking may trigger a further investigation. They'll do a soft credit pull. That's a pull that doesn't appear on your credit bureau. You don't necessarily know they did it. By the way, when you got your line of credit, you signed something that said they could do it whenever they wanted. So they do a soft credit pull. They say, oh my God, he's running behind on some credit cards. Wow. Oh my God, we better deal with this. So that's how it happened. The bank sends out an algorithmic search to try to probe for weakness in some accounts. They know what to look for. It's easy to do. They could probably do 1 million clients overnight, and then they take it a few steps deeper, because a lot of the 1 million clients just pass. Yeah, no, this guy looks fine. Everything fine. Whoa, look over this. And then they do a little deeper dive, and then they make a decision to do something with that HELOC or with that line of credit, with that home equity line of credit. So it's not unusual. It's happened before. I've seen it many, many times in my career, and it's happening again. And I, again, guarantee you, it's going to be happening more often in the coming year. It's going to be happening a lot. So just understand, it's out there.